Welcome to episode 2 of Let's Have Words. You'll notice that my coffee is partly empty and the hat may have moved a little. That's because I screwed everything up and messed up the microphone because I'm an idiot, which I feel like I keep harping on this all the time. But I'm Jonathan Stone, and this podcast is produced by Forerunner. If you have any questions about getting involved with this show or having content produced by Forerunner, connect with us on Facebook or email us at info@forerunner.tv. Do me a favor, and whatever platform it is that you are listening or watching on, like, share, comment, and subscribe. All those things help us take off and will allow us to continue to create this stuff for you. If you're on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, or Amazon Music, we've got more things coming for you, but we'd love for you to help us out on all of those platforms. Quick reminder that you can watch this also on our YouTube channel. If you're interested in that, it will be on YouTube, and it will be under my name, Jonathan Stone. We're working on creating a separate channel for it. This week's episode is once again brought to you by Duke Cannon. Duke Cannon is a purveyor of superior quality grooming goods built for the hardworking man. Duke Cannon products are made in US of A, and this company supports and benefits our veterans. Check out DukeCannon.com, and I got a new discount code, so I'm not going to be made fun of. You can use my discount code for 10% off your purchase. It is BBLHW for Let's Have Words. BBLHW for 10% off your purchase. Thank the Lord I fixed that. I was sick of being made fun of.
It's like the other one was like Roman numerals.
Yeah, it was like BBLMNOQ.
Decipher it.
Yeah, Roman numeral 6. Today's going to be an amazing interview. We have a guest here that is only 23 years old, and he's already making a national name for himself. So we've got Robert Bowden. He's here today, and he's going to tell us all about being a successful young entrepreneur.
Yes, sir. Excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, I don't think it's only going to be about entrepreneurship.
We're going to talk about a lot.
A lot of stuff.
A lot of good
I'm
stuff,
excited
sure.
for it.
Yep.
You ready to hop in?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
So,
well, I've got the picture pulled up of the new location.
Yep.
And so this is just a kind of a rough idea. You're going to have a garage bay. You're going to have some big glass windows and all that. And then when he's talking about the showroom, and I got to tour the facility the other day, it's insane. It's so incredible. I think, do we have another interior maybe of it?
I think we might. Yeah, the plywood won't be on there. Don't worry.
Yeah.
We're waiting on some glass to show up, and we have a lot of stuff going on inside, and they wanted to get it secured up. So
I believe this is also...
Yeah, that bay that you were talking about, one of the glass windows, it'll appear as a glass window on the front of the building, is actually a functional door, so we'll be able to put a vehicle inside the showroom too, just to show off as well. So,
and then this is actually what the interior of the facility, part of it, will look like.
Yeah, I didn't share a photo of the cool part with the mezzanine, with the offices that overlook the shop. That's really cool, but I kind of want to keep that a little low key.
So one of my first questions when I got into this facility, right below this garage door, y'all can see my mouse. Yep. And for those of you that are listening, this room is how big?
That space there is a little bit over 6,000 square feet, maybe even more. It might be closer to 7,000 now.
Let's overestimate, say it's 7,000. Yeah. So this space right here is wide open at the moment. And what Robert was trying to explain to me is once it already looks big, and then once you start putting vehicles and the materials in there, it's still going to look huge because of the size of things that you're housing. Yep. So right before this garage bay door, you see this little indentation in the floor.
Yep.
It's kind of hard to see from a distance, but when you're there, it'll make more sense. And my first question, of course, because I'm really an idiot.
Yeah.
I didn't understand exactly what it was. So explain to everybody, what in the world is that?
Yeah, so that's a recessed pit. A scissor lift will actually be placed in that.
Okay.
And the reason being, it'll allow us to flush mount the scissor lift. So most shops that have a scissor lift or a 4-post lift, it's just regularly mounted in the concrete or on the concrete, and there's a few inches from the finished floor to the top of the lift, which doesn't seem like a whole lot, but on lowered vehicles, you have to be able to clear those few inches in order to get a vehicle on without scraping the bottom or messing up a body kit, things like that. So with it being recessed, it'll actually allow the scissor lift to be flush with the concrete, so it doesn't matter how low a vehicle is, as long as that vehicle can drive on the road, it can get on the rack. And we will be one of the only shops in Southern Kentucky that has a lift, and I think we might be the only shop in Southern Kentucky that has a recessed flush-mounted scissor lift that works on modified suspension vehicles, which is pretty cool. And it also allows us, since it has no posts and it's a scissor lift, it doesn't matter how wide a truck or a Jeep is.
Right.
As long as it can get inside of our door, which is very wide.
It's a garage door.
You'll be able to get on the lift. So that'll be pretty cool. It gives us a little bit of a competitive advantage. So
yeah,
it costs a little bit more to do, but I think in the long run it'll be something that we're really happy that we did.
Were you planning for something like that, being that you're so well versed in this world, or did you have somebody that suggested, say, hey man, you probably need to do something like this?
Yeah.
Or are you just such a creative mind, you were like, oh no, I can house this. That's what I want to do.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to take the credit for it by any means. I'm familiar with other shops around the country. And
Right.
Obviously, what do they do? What do they do? See what works here and there. It was always something, I knew I always wanted to have a scissor lift. And then obviously with the shop that we have, the current location, the last 2 years of not having a scissor lift, and also obviously not having a recessed scissor lift, we decided, hey, this would be great to do it if we can. And
Right.
in the grand scheme of things, it's a rounding error in order to have that concrete recessed to do it. So it was definitely something that we were planning on doing since the design process. We didn't
Right.
decide to do that right at the end or anything. So.
And so I was joking earlier because this guy does some funny voices too. And,
Oh, geez.
But no, when I say you're a jack of all trades, like
Yeah.
you really are, because you also designed
did.
this entire building.
Did, yeah.
We were walking through and he's like, oh yeah, I designed that. I designed that. And I'm sitting here thinking like, what do you mean you designed all of this? This is a legitimate, like,
Yeah.
I mean, you were the creative mind behind it. You were everything behind the entire design too. And you just told somebody, hey, this is what I want. Make it so.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that's crazy. So let's go back to the beginning, I guess, and then we'll see just how far we've come. So
Yeah,
when
absolutely.
you first started was in a garage,
I've been seeing
right?
that photo in a little while, yeah. Yep, mom and dad's garage back in Atlanta. That was, I think, back in 2015.
It is.
Yep,
Well,
back in
that's what it
2015.
says on
Yep,
there.
yep.
2015, and this is just in your parents' garage.
Yep.
And they lived at the time in Atlanta.
Yep,
Baby
yep.
Robert. I see him right there on the wall.
The what?
He said, "There's little baby Robert."
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was back in Atlanta, back in 2015. We lived just north of Atlanta, and that was my parents' garage. And I can't remember what I was doing that day. I must have been working on someone's Jeep, and I had to just use a makeshift. I think I had a cardboard box I was working on as just a makeshift table. And you know what they say? I mean, humble beginnings, right? A lot of successful businesses started out in someone's garage, and in my case, it was my parents' garage. I was
Right.
17 at the time, so
Jeez.
it was at that age. It's kind of hard to go out and just get a lease somewhere, right?
So I did a little research on you.
yeah, yep.
And you started in 2015 at 17.
Yep.
And it's because you got a Jeep and you were like, man, I really want to deck this thing out. And your parents basically told you, no, not on our dime.
Yep.
You want to do it, you're going to do it.
Yep.
And I guess, did that kind of just spark your interest? You're like, okay, if I want something to be done, then I guess I better figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, I've been like that my entire life. I would say, like, yeah, I've always gone to my parents with some harebrained ideas or
Really?
some really creative things. Hey, I want to do this, and they say, absolutely, but you got to do it on your own.
Yeah.
Or you at least get stuff going, and we can help you out, point you in the right direction, type of thing. And so with the Jeep, I think I had some friends, other friends that had really cool Jeeps and whatnot, and I was like, created this whole list of everything that I wanted to do to it. And I think I presented it to them, and they were like, "That's awesome, but we're not going to pay $8,000 to have all this done for you."
wild. So when you say you were legitimately creative from the beginning, check out
goes
this
way
picture.
back.
Pull this one up,
Way
Booba.
back.
This kid is just built. I'm not even sure all of those things are blocks. The two circle things look like paper towel tubes.
Man, so those were all blocks. You're right. My mom would be able to tell these stories better than I could. But ever since I was really, really young, I was always building something. I was always very creative. I'd always been very fascinated by things that were symmetrical. So in that building block example that you were looking at a second ago, if you looked at it, I mean, every portion of that little building I was creating looked the same on one side or the other.
Yeah,
And so I always loved that. And then this other
Pull
photo
this
that
one
you
up
have-
for me, Booba.
Yeah, this other photo you have here playing with cars. My younger brother with me at the time. Just crazy. We would always create crazy stories and play out these different storylines, and that had to do with cars, which is funny.
Yeah.
And it's funny because these two photos, I mean, that first one you pulled up was me building. It was a little building.
Yeah.
Looked like, and then that second photo,
It looked like a shop. It really did look like you were building a shop.
It's weird, these synchronicities, but I've just always been like that. I've always been a really creative kid and always fascinated by taking an idea in your head and turning it into fruition, using your hands, getting dirty, putting something together. And my entrepreneurial spirit, I guess we'll get into next. I've got some crazy stories to talk about before Spartan even started as well. That could lead up into what has become. So.
And you were telling me you got a lot of this from your grandfather. Your grandfather was in sales.
Yes.
correct?
So yeah, he had a business for wholesale building materials back in Atlanta, and my dad worked for him, and they started that way back, and grew it. And I think that's probably where I got my entrepreneurial spirit from.
Yeah.
Obviously, I wasn't around when that was created.
Right.
I think just seeing that from a young age and just having the encouragement and enthusiasm to
and
not be
hearing the
afraid to
stories.
chase. Yeah.
You don't even have to be there to hear the stories. Like my grandfather's the same way. I wasn't there, but I just heard the work,
yeah.
the effort. And so
Absolutely.
when you hear that and then you have the relationship with these people, it makes it kind of puts a little bit of pressure on you too.
A little bit, yeah,
because you're like,
definitely.
man, if they can do it,
Yeah.
they can do it.
I should be able to.
I
as
should
well.
be able to.
Yeah.
And they're gonna love seeing me do it too.
Absolutely.
You close with your parents? Very close.
Very, very family oriented.
And are they pretty involved in this project now, or is it like over their heads and they're like, we support you and we love you, but we don't understand what you're doing?
Yeah. In the project sense, do you mean Spartan as the business, or do you mean the expansion?
Well, I guess just everything that you do.
Yeah.
Like my parents have always been super supportive, very loving, and my dad was kind of into music and all that. So when I started acting and all that, they loved it and they got it. But I don't think they understood the level of like crazy I was about. You know what I mean? Like,
No, I totally
you
understand
kind of
that.
get
I totally
that
get that
way.
big time. No, they've always been extremely supportive. They've always been very encouraging to, for myself, for my siblings to pursue whatever it is that we were interested in. My mom, she was an ER nurse. My dad was in the building material industry. So neither of them had, experience or any sort of background in the automotive business.
Right.
As we've expanded to this new facility and we've built this new facility, my dad, him and I have been very involved in this just because his background was in building materials, building, construction, things like that. So he's been an incredible resource.
That's neat. I didn't even think about asking you that.
Yeah. But no, they've always just been super supportive with what I'm doing, and
That's
have
awesome.
been, cheerleaders along the way. As far as how involved they are, I mean, day to day, none at all, other than me just reaching out and say, hey, here's how we did last month, or here's some cool things we've got coming along, and I'll share links. They follow on social media, so they keep up with it.
That's
but
fantastic.
As far as day to day stuff, very, very removed. They've got their own lives they're living too, and they're supporting mine as well. So
And they are moving.
they are. Yep.
They're moving. And while you're sad to see them move kind of far away, I think that you'll probably still be very much so in touch.
Yeah, no, I definitely will. My sister's in New Orleans, my brother's in Utah, my parents are in Tennessee, I'm here in Kentucky. No matter where they go, I'm obviously going to make the trip to go out there and see them wherever they go. And I'm just like that with family in general. We've got a family group chat, so everyone stays texting and that all the time and whatnot. So yeah, it'll be tough for them not to be right next door in Nashville, but it'll be nice to be able to get out of Bowling Green every now and then and go see them.
It gives you an excuse.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh man,
Yep.
I gotta go to Louisiana. Oh
Yep.
man, I gotta go to Utah.
Yep. Exactly.
It's, I guess I'm going 40 minutes south. Yeah. I mean,
Hey,
we all love
Nashville's awesome,
Nashville.
though. You can't beat it.
We're not
Can't beat
knocking
it.
Nashville. I'm just saying, 40 minutes, that's a drive from one end of the city to the other.
That's true.
In a
That's
lot of
true.
ways. So,
Yep. Very true.
so when you started, you were in your parents' garage and you were just working on friends' vehicles at the time, right?
Yep.
So kind of walk us through that. When people were coming to you, were you given creative control, or did they have an idea? And then how in the world did you outsource some of this stuff?
Yeah. Well, to give a little backstory on the whole thing. So I started building the Jeep that I had, this red Jeep, and as I continued to build it and it got bigger and bigger, I learned more and more about the industry. I learned more about working on these cars. And I had an Instagram page, and that's really where this whole Spartan thing started. I had an Instagram page, and I was promoting other people's Jeeps on it. So let's say you had a Jeep and you sent
Which I do.
Which you do. Yeah,
I have
which you
3.
do. Yes, sir. You would send me a photo of your Jeep and where you are and whatnot, and I would post that and write a little something about it and just share it, and that grew. I mean, that page got to like 10,000 followers.
It's like this Jeep thing is like a cult now.
It is low key, low key, high key. It is.
Oh, for sure. Swanson said it's high key.
It is. And so with that, I gained some traction, and there were some companies that reached out and said, hey, if you promote our products on your social media platform, we'll send you free stuff. So I was like, oh,
Nice.
sweet. And that's actually really how I started to build the Jeep, because I started getting free things.
Yeah.
And with being young, I didn't have a ton of money. I had some jobs. I worked construction one summer. I worked in a warehouse another summer. So I had the little money that I was making, but not enough to build it to the level that I did.
Right.
And so through the company, I was able to start getting these free parts. And with that, I was like, man, I bet I could make money doing this, not just get free stuff. Because I mean, how many light bars can you get before you're like, I can't put any more on my Jeep, you know?
Well,
and there's
some people would argue
out there that are like, you know, there's never
your Star Trek.
there's never too much. No, for real. I mean, you got some people that just put them everywhere they can fit them on the vehicle, and then they just have this rat's nest of wiring underneath the hood, and they're just like, I don't know why I have problems with my car. It's like, well, I can tell you why.
Well, we were talking about that too, and you're kind of a different person because you are in this industry.
Yeah.
But we both agree there's some beauty to these cars and the simplicity that there is to a lot of them. Now, when you want to start building and creating and making it your own, that's one thing.
For sure.
But you're also kind of an old soul in that you can appreciate an old vehicle.
Yep.
You can appreciate what it took to make it and build it.
Yep.
And there's some integrity to there that you don't necessarily want to mess with in a lot of ways.
Absolutely. Yeah. Overkill is not always the best route, you know. But
And you're fairly honest. If somebody were to say, oh, I want to do this, like if somebody brought you, you know, a classic Corvette or something, and it's like, oh, I just want to tear it all up and do this.
It would hurt a little bit.
Would it? Would you?
Would.
Would you
I
tell
mean,
them
it just
that?
depends. I mean, you got resto mod. You got so many directions that you can go with these things nowadays.
Yes.
At the end of the day, whatever the person wants, as long as it's not going to hurt their vehicle or be extremely overcomplicated to where we can't do it, I mean, we're going to do it for them.
Right.
But I agree with you. I mean, there definitely is beauty and simplicity, and you got to respect the classics. And
yes.
But if someone wants overkill, I mean, we're going to give them overkill.
I agree.
He wouldn't let me wrap my 4Runner in the 4Runner green. I told him I want to do it, and he's like,
I advise against it slightly, but I gave you some creative insight as some other potential directions to go. And so, I mean, it's a beautiful 4Runner. I like it.
There's
the 4Runner.
That's right. Well, that's a really good thing for a young entrepreneur that is running his own business, to be honest with people, because
you have to be.
You have to be. Because there's a lot of people in this world that don't trust salespeople.
Yep.
And they don't trust them for a reason. And whether it's like me in real estate or you running this business, man, the honesty is going to go so much further for people.
It's worked for us.
It's worked for you.
And honestly, the automotive industry has a really bad reputation for people not trusting, whether it's automotive
It's right there with real estate,
service.
man.
It's, you know, a lot of times just because a lot of people that bring their vehicles in don't know a whole lot about the vehicle itself, you know, the technical aspects of it, right?
You could tell me I need this, that, and another, and I would just instantaneously be like, okay.
And shops do it. They do it every day.
Every single day.
And we have customers that come in and we'll suggest them something and they think that we're doing it too. And then we will take the time to actually explain to them or show them, you know, hey, this is why you need this and this is why we suggest doing this. I mean, I'm all about making money. I mean, it's a business. We have to make money to grow and survive. But at the same time, you know, like you said, being honest and being transparent and communicating with the customer and just being doing business the right way, in my opinion, is going to get those customers to come back, and it's going to get them to tell other people about it. And that's why we've been growing the way we have. You know, there's not some secret, you know, sauce to this whole thing. I mean, I guess there is. It's just being honest and doing the right thing and being transparent. But it's a shame that that's a secret. A lot of places don't, though, because it's so easy. You know, it's just so easy to do that.
It's free to be honest. It's free to tell the truth. And what you do and that you pride yourself on, you were telling me, is that you coach your people. You coach your sales staff. And you coach your clients too on what it is that they want to do. Whether it's Andrew wanting to wrap his 4Runner or something, you're like, you know, you could do that, or you could go this route too. Because at the end of the day, as long as they're happy, I guess that's all that really matters. But you also need to make sure that you're doing your job and keeping them satisfied.
Yeah. I mean, we've got two different types. I mean, like, a customer walks in knowing exactly what they want. They know how much money they want to spend, and it's this or nothing, right? And so we'll do that. And other times you have customers that come in saying, hey, I've got this budget. Here's kind of what I want to do, but I'm totally open to your suggestion. You know, what do you guys recommend? You know, what are my options? And then at that point, we'll definitely go, dive in with them. But yeah, we do the whole thing. But jumping back, so people also understand the business as well. So that social media page where I was promoting parts and stuff on, that grew into actually starting the business because I realized there was a way to make money by doing what I was doing. And so so it was social media marketing at the time, and then that expanded into getting a business license because I was like, I could sell these companies products if I became a dealer with them. So I had to have a business license, and I had to have a resale certificate and sales tax number and everything. So once I structured all that, and I went back to these businesses and said, hey, I've got all the legal information that you guys require. Can I sell your products? So then I built my own website, my first website. And
you built it?
I built it, yeah. And I think there's a photo you can pull up in my bedroom back at my parents' place back in 2015. I had like 2 computers. My brother actually built the computers for me.
That's so neat. I couldn't do anything like that. Is this the bedroom?
Nope. Let's see. There it is.
There it is. Let's pull this up. Pull this up, Booba.
So yeah, that was actually when I was building my first website. And after I think
you look 6 years old.
Yeah, I used to deepen my voice when I would call businesses, so they would think I was older. Like
I still do that.
When I call people asking if they want to sell their house, I'm like, "Hey, this is Jonathan. I'm a real estate agent."
I really had to do it though. I mean, back when I was 17,
yeah.
I mean, I
you
really
had to walk the walk.
Yeah,
because people are thinking this 17-year-old.
They didn't have a face, to go off of or anything yet.
Yeah.
They didn't have that. They just had a business, name and whoever they were talking to. So they would call and say, "Hey, this is Robert Bowden. How are you doing today?" Just try my best. But yeah, built the website,
hilarious.
started putting products on there. I think we ended up getting to 8,000, 10,000 products. We got it pretty big. And that's how it grew. So I had the website. So I was doing drop shipping. So a customer anywhere in the country, lower 48 states, could go to my website, order a part. I would then place the order with the manufacturer. They would ship it straight to your house, and then I would be able to keep a percentage of that I was back. So anywhere from 10 to 20%, just depending on what it was. And so it was relatively easy. I mean, all I needed was my cell phone, to do the orders. And that's that whole drop shipping business. That's what that is. So I was able to do that while I was in high school, finishing up school and getting ready to graduate and figure out where I was going to go to college. And I was also working on my friends' vehicles and stuff at the time. And it pretty much stayed to friends' vehicles, but there were so many kids in Georgia, in Atlanta that had trucks and Jeeps and 4Runners and stuff that I was always busy. My parents, I think at one point, were like, "Hey, you got to dial this back," because there was 8 cars parked out front of our house one day. Some were in pieces, some weren't in pieces. There was just stuff everywhere, and they were like, "Hey, we totally support this, but you need to start scheduling these vehicles out. You can't have them all just drop here at the same time." And our neighbors were super understanding and super nice. They never complained about anything, even if we were welding at 2 a.m. and lighting up the whole neighborhood. Or grinding. And I tried my best to always be respectful. I wasn't just doing stuff late in the night that would upset anybody. But at the same time, I was trying to build this business up, and then I got into WKU and decided to come up here. And my plan actually was to come to WKU, join a fraternity, study entrepreneurship, get a degree, and then figure out what was next. And my dad, he was in a fraternity as well. He was in Lambda Chi Alpha. I was in Lambda Chi Alpha as well when I came here. But my first semester when I signed up for Rush, I actually wasn't able to rush. I wasn't eligible to rush because my GPA was too low by 0.01. And they wouldn't let me rush. And I sat down with IFC and asked them, "Hey, what can I do to get through here?" And they said, "Hey, this is our policy. Your GPAs, after it was recalculated from your high school, it's just too low. We can't allow you to rush." And I fought it, and they just said no. And eventually, there's nothing you can do, right?
Right.
And at the time, I'm an out-of-state kid. I'm from Atlanta. My plan was to come to WKU, join a fraternity, make friends, study, entrepreneurship, and go from there. Now I'm still a kid from Atlanta. Don't know anybody. Now I can't rush my first semester. Had no idea what I wanted to do. At that point, I was kind of sitting on my hands. Didn't know anybody, right? And so I was like, well, I got to figure out something to do. I was a swimmer in high school. WKU didn't have a swim team at the time. And
that's right. They disbanded the swim team.
They got rid of the swim team and everything.
I used to go to swim parties. Probably shouldn't talk about that on here.
Yeah, that's funny.
You definitely should.
No, I definitely should.
We don't need to get into that right now. But
do not discuss those. We're done with that conversation.
We're going to move on to the next topic. So I ended up joining the dodgeball team. Real badass.
Dude, we have friends on the dodgeball.
I know. I never told you that. Were you on the dodgeball team?
Andrew was...
You were Mr. Dodgeball.
He was Mr. Dodgeball.
No way.
Him and Raymer.
I'm about to break your heart. I'm about to break your heart with what I'm about to say.
He hated it.
No, I broke my thumb in the first game.
Oh, man.
Done.
What year was your first year?
2017.
Yeah, I definitely went.
But no, we were older. But you and Raymer basically started the dodgeball team, didn't you?
No, so Josh Raymer. Josh Raymer was a godfather of collegiate dodgeball. So this is club dodgeball, right?
Yep.
He was a part of the founding group, right? And WKU, when it first started, for maybe the first 6 years, well, maybe 10 years of the NCDA's existence, was a huge player in that, right?
Yeah.
And that's when my class came through. So we were traveling all across east of the Mississippi, everywhere, playing. And
that's so funny.
So anyway, I can't believe he played dodgeball.
Well, he played one game,
and I was a starter too, which is very impressive.
Who was the captain when you were in there?
I would have to go back and look. I'm bad with names
Nick
sometimes. It might have been
Hunter.
Nick. It might have been.
I don't even know
I think
these
it might have
guys.
been Nick.
I
He was
remember
a
you
beast.
and Raymond.
Whoever it was a beast. I mean, these guys were killer, and they let me start, and I was killing it. It was the first game. It was like our second or third game at UK up in Lexington, and I think it was the last guy left, and it was like me versus like one or two of the other guys, and they were pretty confident that I was going to smoke them because I was doing really well. Jumped up to dodge a ball, landed, and put my hand down first, and it just snapped back, and I like stood up, looked at my thumb's hanging down. It was something tore. It was just all messed up. And then I just get like, boom, boom, just nailed by the ball. And they're like, what are you doing? And I like just held my thumb up, and they're all looking at it. And I just, everyone's like, oh, God, And all of it just swells up. And then I was like, that's it. So now
your career in dodgeball's over.
Dodgeball career's over. But now keep this in mind, right? So still, kid from Atlanta. I don't know anybody. Can't rush. Joined a club. Now I'm not even a part of the club because I just broke my thumb.
Oh my god!
So it's like what's what the heck? There's all these things that just keep happening. I'm sitting here like, man, I'm probably gonna leave this school after this semester.
You had
this
no
just
good
stinks.
luck.
And so a buddy of mine, he was from Louisville, I believe, and we were talking one day, and I was just like, man, I got nothing to do. You're my only friend here, And he's like, well, why don't you just keep working on with your business? And I was like, it's just a lot, and I don't really plan on continuing that here. Like, I got other things I want to do. And he's like what?
Right.
Get your degree. And I was like, I know. Anyways, he pushed me into pursuing the company. And it's funny because now I look back on it. I look back on coming from Atlanta, not knowing anybody, not being able to join the fraternity, try to join the club. That didn't work out. It's like this divine intervention pushing me in a direction to pursue the company. And so I did, and I was running the business out of the dorm. I think you have a photo of that as well.
Let me look.
The photo, there's a photo of my dorm room with some clothing racks in it because we were selling merchandise at the time, and I was selling the merchandise out of my dorm room at WKU. Which I know is probably against the policies. There was one of my friends there at the time. She was helping me organize stuff. I think I was doing inventory that day, and she came over and was helping me do it. Doing some stuff with that. Yeah, big old American flag. And so
cool.
I was selling merchandise out of the dorm room, and I think RA was coming around and like, hey, you can't be doing this stuff here. I think I paid him off to not write me up.
Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Are you allowed to tell us which dorm you were in?
No, I probably keep it low key.
Okay.
I think Swanson knows. I think you know which dorm I was in. It was towards the bottom of the hill. And
okay.
I
think I have my
wasn't doing anything
thoughts.
bad. I think it was more or less just like a fire hazard. Like you got too much stuff in the way.
For sure.
And so, because I had like 3 racks worth of clothes in there, and I was like, man, if you just keep this low key, I'm selling T-shirts. All right, like come on, dude. And
there's a lot of other bad things being sold out of here too.
There's a lot.
Not necessarily your room.
I'm on the better end of the spectrum for that, I guess. But so at that time, I was starting to study entrepreneurship at Western, and one of the professors was like, hey, you should check out the Student Business Accelerator inside of the Research Development Center here in Bowling Green, which is where we're at right now. Yep. And there is a student space in there that's just, if you're a student of WKU, you have a business or business idea, you're more than welcome to use a space. And so I ended up going there and operating my business out of that for a little while. And within the Center for Research and Development is the Small Business Accelerator, which is similar but different than the Student Business Accelerator. The Small Business Accelerator, you can actually lease your own office space, which is what we're doing here right now.
Right.
And so I presented a business plan to Jeff Hook and showed him all my business documents.
Okay.
Yep. And he approved everything, and we ended up leasing this office space. What's the office number? Is it 105 here? 105? Yeah. Oh, gee. This was it. And this is crazy because the place that we're in right now, what I can see behind the camera, I mean, this was it. It's weird. You guys have done this up way cooler than we had it. I've got a photo, I think, in here of our office, of this office, the way we had it set up. But I moved everything into here. And so are you able to pull up one of those as well?
Here's actually, I think this is your storage at the Small Business Accelerator.
Yeah, that's the storage one. Yeah, that comes up next.
This is where he was storing.
There's an actual office photo.
Come on, Jonathan.
It might have been one of the first ones. There's that one, but there's another photo of like desks set up. Keep going.
Oh yeah. Well, there's
Not
first
that
employees.
One. Yeah, it's
sorry guys.
You're good. There it is. Yep, I might have one more photo somewhere in there, but that was.
Look at that.
Yeah, we're a little dumbed down. I think they let us use their desks and their chairs, and we didn't have any money at the time, and so we were operating out of here. And hired my first few employees, which I think you pulled up a photo of that a minute ago as well. And so that's how things really started out here in Bowling Green.
How did you find these guys that were going to start working for you?
They were my fraternity.
That you didn't even get in? that you
ended up
eventually
getting in.
in.
Yeah. I
Wow.
ended up working hard that first semester, got good grades, and then I was eligible to rush. I ended up rushing. My dad was a Lambda Chi, so I was a legacy, and I had a few different
Right.
options, but I decided to go with them. They just fit me the best, or
Yeah.
I fit their model the best. And through the fraternity, I met those guys.
Were they
And,
car people? Or did they have to learn
yes,
this?
to a degree, yeah, both were. One of them currently is our general manager, Hunter. He was, full on car guy.
Yeah.
And then one of the other guys that was with us for a little bit of time. Now he's traveling internationally and living his life and doing some cool things. He was our finance guy, and he always had an interest in cars, but he had a finance degree and whatnot, so it worked out well. So the three of us really got things going here in Bowling Green, and obviously I would consider myself, the visionary of the whole thing. I've always pictured different things in my head, and then these guys have been, extremely crucial in helping bring that into fruition and making this thing real.
That's funny that you say that, because when before we had started, we were just talking about like these screens that you see behind us, and both you and I were like, man, we're not very. I don't think I'm a very visionary person.
Yep.
Like Chris and Andrew can see something and make it happen. They can.
Who?
Booba. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Who's this Chris guy?
Yeah, who's Chris?
I only know a Booba.
Yeah,
There's
like
a Booba
only
in Swanson.
The federal government uses Chris. That's it.
Oh God. Well, anyways,
that.
so
That's funny.
Booba and Andrew have always been these visionaries that can just think of something and make it happen and create it. And I don't believe myself to be that. And you said you don't believe yourself to be that, but man, look what you've done.
No, I definitely do.
It may not be on a green
I guess
screen.
when I say vision, I don't know. I think sometimes it sounds kind of weird when you're like, I'm a visionary.
Well, you are.
But I definitely can see the vision in my head. I can plan everything out and move all the pieces in my head. And then after I see it all in my head first, then I can just make certain movements and make things happen in real life. And with obviously the supporting guys, being part of this thing. And so they have been, and we've grown this. And while we were in here, we really were figuring out, what's the market here in Southern Kentucky. Who else is out here? Who would we compete with? And we just continued to manifest it all and just keep pushing it. And that one photo you had of the truck was actually a storage unit that the Accelerator had, that we were building a show truck in. That ended up.
Is this the truck?
This is the truck. That was my parents' garage. I was home for a little while working on something. I think it was over Christmas or something like that.
Pull this one up for me, Booba.
Back in the parents' garage. I think I was home for like Christmas, and I was doing something under the hood one day. My mom snapped that picture. But the other photo you have in the storage unit was here at the Accelerator, and that was where we were building our show truck that went to the SEMA show. Yeah, that's the photo right there. So we built a SEMA truck. And let me explain what SEMA is. SEMA is like the Specialty Equipment and Manufacturing Association. They have a show in Las Vegas. I believe it's the second largest show that is put on in Las Vegas every year besides the Consumer Electronics Show. I could be wrong on that, but the last time I read something, that's what it said.
Let's just say you're wrong, and it's top 5. It's
a
still
big one.
Vegas,
It's a
and
big
that's
one,
huge.
And it's the most like elite, exclusive, custom automotive expo in the world.
Wow.
Right? And so companies will go there, and they will be able to feature vehicles in their booths or out in different lots and whatnot. Anyways, we were able to set up some sponsorship through Holly that put us in contact with a company out in Utah, Edge Products.
Yeah.
They ended up sponsoring the truck, and we built this truck, and it went out to Vegas to be put on display. But we built that truck because we didn't have a shop yet in Bowling Green, remember? So the Accelerator here that we're in right now said, hey, we've got a storage unit you guys could use, just don't destroy it and work around the mess. And so we did. And we ended up building the truck. And I think there's a photo of that truck in the desert somewhere of what it ended up looking like when it went out to Las Vegas. And we had a photo shoot in the desert. There it is right there. It was in Diesel World magazine. And it turned out incredibly killer. I mean, we worked with a couple different people here in town in various ways.
That's crazy.
To reach the final goal, but it was pretty cool. And when we built that truck is really what I think got us known in Southern Kentucky. A lot of people recognize the truck more than they recognize the brand.
Is it still here?
It's not. We sold it about a month ago, and we sold it to a guy in Oklahoma. And it was funny because for a while, people would recognize the truck more than they would recognize the name of the business. And now it's funny when people hear the name of the business, they ask, "Oh, is that the truck that y'all had for a while?" And it was. And so that really helped people understand like what we did, what we were capable of doing, our legitimacy.
I think this is also
quality
another
work.
image
Yep,
of it.
That's another image. That was actually the back parking lot of the Accelerator here, out back.
Oh,
yep, that
right
photo
there.
was taken. Yeah, Daily News did an article on that.
And so this is just you three.
Just three of us. Yeah, and like I said, we had extra hands in building the truck over the few months that we built it, but these are only get 3 guys on payroll at the time when we built this thing. I wasn't on payroll at the time, but so I guess Hunter and Andrew were. But that's what we built, and that's what really helped get some credibility in town and people to take us seriously and say, okay, these guys actually are doing something.
Right.
And then from there, we continue to accelerate. We opened our first shop over at the NCM Motorsports Park. They have bays that they lease out to people to keep their vehicles in or work on their cars and then use at the track. And I had a relationship with the general manager there, and he was like, you guys are welcome to operate your business out of here. You need to pay rent and follow the rules like everybody else.
Of course.
And we had to operate the business within the hours of NCM as well. So
you couldn't there was no more working at midnight.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
So we had to operate within their restrictions, I guess, and we had insurance, and so we had this little shop and we just started to get things going. We had like the cheapest hourly rate in town, and we were doing decent work, and we weren't getting anything crazy, but we got enough in to see potential.
Right.
And this is kind of comes back to that whole visionary thing of all I needed to see was there was potential.
Yeah.
And then I could connect the dots.
It's kind of like an athlete. Like a lot of times they say, like great basketball players, if they're kind of in a slump or something, they need one shot to go in.
Yep.
And if they see that one shot, that
Fires them
net,
up.
if that net moves that one time, it's just
Shot of adrenaline almost.
Yeah, yeah,
It
it's
fuels
just-
the fire. Yeah, no, that's exactly
and
what
so that's
happened.
what happened to you. You got that chance. This guy said, I believe in you. Let's see what you can do.
It really was.
And then you got, it may not have been the $1 million job, but there were a lot of jobs that it was like, okay, now we have something here we can run
Exactly.
with.
Yeah, enough to
And that's
tell
enough.
if it works or not. And you're right. I mean, we had a gentleman here in town that took a chance on us and gave us the opportunity to even open up that little shop, because at the time, I mean, we were all in our early 20s, like 20 years old.
Early
21,
20. Listen to him.
22.
Early 20s. He's
back
23.
when I was young. Yeah, I know. I've got a old
You're
soul.
23 right now.
I'm 23 right now. I know. And I had back surgery.
I feel like a failure.
I know. I'm sorry,
This
guys.
kid's awesome. He said, oh,
sorry.
and I had back surgery.
Yeah. It takes a
beast.
toll on
What
you.
a beast.
I know. Well, that's when I went over there and talked to him, and Swanson was like, "Oh, you got to talk to this guy. He'd be great." And I talked to Robert, and I was like, "How old are you?" 23. Get out of here. Yeah, I was like, "Excuse me, what?"
I don't know. I've got a whole piece on that I would love to talk about later.
That's fine.
Later in the show, just the whole age thing. I think it's cool.
Well, you know what? Let's get to that, because
Yeah.
I think there are some people in this room that get that we were young, we were hungry, we were driven, but we weren't always taken very seriously because we were so young.
No, absolutely.
Don't you think?
Still deal with
Yeah.
it.
And I don't think age matters. I think dues paid matter. Because
I
you
agree with
started
that.
when you were, 13, 14?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't even talk about any of the stories from pre-business, but I was 17 when I started the business, but I was hustling
Yeah,
since
you were
I was
hustling
young.
early. So
young.
at 23, you're 10 years in.
That's true.
Yeah, so
That's true.
age is not a thing.
I agree with that.
But
We
it
didn't- we
is
didn't
to the
start
public.
Forerunner- We didn't start Forerunner until I'd been out freelancing for 10 years.
But don't you think to the public it does?
To Joe Schmo on the street, I totally think it
Yeah.
does. We still
no,
deal with
to,
it.
To the
We still deal with
public,
it all
it's
the time.
perception.
Absolutely.
But,
Totally is.
And that
for-
puts you behind the 8 ball in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But when they see the quality of work you're doing,
That's how you talk.
when they hear that you're doing a good job, and then I know I hate to harp on this because I think it's cliche.
Yep.
But word of mouth is huge.
75% of our business comes from word of mouth.
Thank
We
you.
keep track of the analytics.
And
yeah.
people don't understand. Oh yeah, pay Facebook, pay this, pay that, pay. All right, do it. But you better make
but-
sure that you're doing a good job.
Yep.
Because people are going to talk about you, and you want to make
Absolutely.
sure what they're talking about is good.
Our best salespeople are our customers.
I think
That's amazing.
in a town like ours, like
Yes.
Bowling Green, word of mouth is huge.
Huge.
Because
No doubt.
everyone knows each other, and it's like if you don't do a good job, and like you went back to, if people don't trust you, then it's like, well, they're not going to work with you.
Well, you
I
know
agree.
what they say, right? You do good work for somebody, they'll tell 10 people. If you do bad work for somebody, they'll tell 100. You know.
Yeah.
And that's true. You know. And like I said a second ago, our best salespeople are our customers, because I could tell a random person that walks in the door every day, hey, here's what we can do. We're good at what we do. Here's our prices. But you're going to only trust me so much. But if my best friend came to me and told me, hey, the Spartan Garage, man, they do great work. Their prices are awesome. They will communicate well, all these things. You're going to trust your friend 10 times more than you're going to trust some guy that's just a salesperson working for that company, right? And so
I
it
think so.
starts with their customers. And we've always, lived by that philosophy, and it's
That's
been working
great.
great for us. And you're right. I mean, we keep track of the analytics. It was like 76, 77% Word of mouth is how we get new business. And then
So that tells me
Yep.
that when you are legitimately taking care of your clients, you're feeding yourself. You're feeding your
You have to.
business by taking care of your
have to.
clients.
And this in the automotive industry too. I mean, the amount of customers we get on a weekly basis that call and say, "I called this other shop and they treated me bad or
Yes.
acted like they didn't have time for me." And even if you're busy, right? Even if you're scheduled out a week or 2 weeks, still treat that person like a human being and treat them like they're the most important thing that you have to do at that time. And they will be understanding of your scheduling, and say, okay, I got to wait 2 weeks, I got to wait 2 weeks. But it starts with that first interaction versus you just calling and say, yeah, we can't get to you, sorry, and then, hang up. And then people take that personally. I mean, they take it personally.
I'd rather wait 2 weeks for let's say we're at a restaurant.
Yeah.
I'd rather wait 10 minutes for my drink and have a fantastic server than have somebody that brings me a drink promptly
Yep.
and then forgets about me and treats me
agree.
like crap.
I agree with that.
If my server comes up and is like apologetic, "Oh, I'm so sorry, we're swamped tonight. I'm gonna get your drinks. I got an appetizer coming. It's on me."
Yep.
Something like that. Go that little bit of extra mile for somebody. Make them feel special because it may not be the most important thing to you, but maybe it's the most important thing to them.
And it's not even hard. It's not hard.
It's free to be kind.
You just don't have to be lazy.
Exactly.
You don't have to be lazy. And they'll go ahead.
I got to interject I want to ask you a question. 'Cause,
Yeah.
I mean, you're both business people. You deal with
Yeah.
clients. So I feel like you're talking about, you all go the extra mile. What about when you get a client that is taking advantage of you going the extra mile? How do you deal with that? Because I feel like that's a
it
lesson
happens.
on how to deal with that conflict.
I have my opinions. I don't
You
know.
go first. Give me a second to think about this.
Okay,
I don't want to
so-
offend anybody.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
I don't think what I'm going to say is going to be offensive, but I think that if somebody's taking advantage of it, you have to assert yourself at a certain point. When you're young and you're starting out, you kind of just got to let it happen for a little bit
Absolutely.
because
agree
you
with that.
can't afford to not.
Yep.
When you're putting groceries and stuff on credit, you got to get every
Yeah.
dollar you can.
Yep.
But man, I'm at a point in my life now, and I think I said it with Harrison last week. When you're giving somebody 100% and they're giving you 50, I don't really have time for that anymore. Now, I will do everything I can to get you to match my energy and match my commitment level to you. But at some point, you either got to cut them loose or you got to have that come to Jesus meeting. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that that also sets a precedent for your business. Yeah. And if you do that, it's gonna be better for you in the long run.
I agree with all of that.
Okay,
Absolutely
I
agree
don't
with
think
all
what
that.
I'm saying
Yeah.
is offensive. And I think most people in the public, even if they're the ones taking advantage of people, they wouldn't want to be taken advantage of at their job either, and they know that. They know that, and I think that it's a fairly common practice to take advantage of people. But I also don't think that I don't think that a lot of people know that they're doing it in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say ignorance is a lot of it.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah, fair enough.
Well,
What do you see in your business? Because most of the time, people come into your business thinking you're taking advantage of them.
Yeah, for sure.
Like we said earlier.
We really, I mean, to be honest, we really only see that happening from like people who are spending a lot of money. I'm not talking about, $5,000. I'm talking like $20,000 plus on one vehicle, right? And they have the expectation of, hey, I'm spending all this money. Everything has to be perfect. You have to tailor everything to me. Everything needs to be fast. If I call you, at night you're going to answer, And yes, I mean, to a degree, yes. I mean, you're spending that much money. It's going to be white glove. I mean, we're going to take care of it. And we owe you a certain level, of work and this experience because you're spending that much money. But there is also those times when the customer comes in and says, okay, I've spent this much money with you in the past. I know you're scheduled out for 2 weeks, but you need to get to me right now. And you, like you say, at some point, you have to do that to a point. But then at some point, you also have to have a mature conversation. Say, hey, man, here's where we're at. I know you're one of our highest spending clients, or whatever, and we want to take care of you, and we will take care of you. But here's the soonest I can get you in, or here's the best I can do. And if that person's not willing to understand, or like you said, just pure ignorance at times, then that's just on them, and you can only do so much. But having that mature, because the worst thing you can do is tell someone, hey, I'm going to do something, and then you don't do it.
Yeah.
And then that gets them way more upset. People can deal with no a lot better if you just tell them no versus telling them yes and it ends up being no and you never told them no in the first place, if that makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense to me.
And it's tough. It doesn't happen all the time, and I'm not calling out any of our specific customers by any means, but we have dealt with it in the past, and it's just a part of business. I mean, if you're not willing to deal with that or you're afraid to deal with that, you don't need to be in business, because it happens. Right. It happens.
I try and treat every single client, whether they're buying $1 million home or $100,000 home, I try and treat them the same.
That's a big one.
Because at the end of the day, the person buying the $100,000 home, that is their $1 million home. And the person buying $1 million home, maybe that's an investment like a $100,000 home. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So I don't know everybody's story. I don't know everybody's situation, but I do know at the end, people are going to remember how you made them feel.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
And that's really important.
Yep. You don't remember what you said. It's how you said it, right?
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, to a degree, that's something I've heard as well. But, I totally agree, because I remember being when I was young and when I was in this industry, I would go to a shop and spend $500. And there was one shop close to my house with some guys. There's a photo of it, actually, of a couple of the guys that, man, they always treated me great. It didn't matter if I was coming in, I was spending $400. Yeah, right there.
These guys.
And these guys really helped me get my start back in Atlanta. It was a small shop close to my house, and they treated me so good. And I learned a lot of what I knew to start my business here from them. And it didn't matter if I was coming in to spend $100, because it took me X amount of time to earn that $100 that it could have been for another customer. It took them the same amount of time, but they earned $10,000, right? And so to me, that was my equivalent to spending that customer's $10,000.
For sure.
And so they treated me the same, and I learned a lot from that. And so I continued to do the same thing with my business, because that's one thing, especially with younger folks, when they come in, they obviously don't have as much money as some people that are older or have a higher paying job, have more money they've saved up over time. And we treat them the same, and they recognize that.
For
and
sure.
You know what? They go out and they go tell 10, 15 people. And so sure, we might have only made $45 from that one customer, but we made $15,000 over.
That's a big difference.
20 customers that one person brought to us. And if I was,
and you got a lifetime customer.
and then they're loyal too. People are loyal, especially in a city like this. I mean, people are creatures of habits here. I mean, they love the places they go. They like doing business with the people they like doing business. So it's hard to pull them away from other places. And you get one shot, you really do. And if you do it right, and you're, like I said, honest and loyal, and you're transparent with them, you got a good chance of having that return business. So
I agree 100% on that.
That's all good stuff. But that shop at NCM, so that photo that you have there, that was the next one. So that one gentleman at NCM took a chance on us. We opened up that small shop, and that's where I saw the potential, and I kind of had the vision for, okay, we can go bigger. This is going to be a lot more to do this, but in order for us to see what the true potential is here, and to get to our be all end all goal to a degree, we need to go somewhere that customers can drive up and access us at any time. We have a parking lot, we have our own showroom, we have all this stuff, because that last shop at NCM, it was just a shop. We still had the office here at the Accelerator. So we had to drive like 20 minutes across town. So I would get up at like 5 a.m.
Yeah.
I would go to the shop. I would work on a customer's vehicle. Then I would go to class. And then I would come back here to the office to do any sort of sales stuff during the day, or talk to companies, order parts, whatever. Then we would go back to the shop, work on the vehicles. And then if a customer would pick up their vehicle at the end of the day, whatever. And then I would come back to the office again and do like any bookkeeping stuff, any financial stuff at the end of the day. So I was doing everything.
And you still weren't on payroll.
Still wasn't
you
on payroll.
You only had 2 guys with you.
Yep.
That were on your payroll.
Yep. And so they were all doing stuff to me. We were delegating amongst the 3 of us, but we were all just pinballing. One guy was in class, one guy wasn't in class. We were trying to do our best, and it was just a lot. So that's why going from NCM to the Chester Court location that we're at now was such a big leap, and that's why we've grown so much, because we went from somewhere where the logistics of it was atrocious, and the accessibility for customers was almost non-existent. We weren't on the map by any means, to now we have a place where we have a showroom, we have our offices, we have the shop all in one place. Customers can drive up and park their car and come in during our business hours. It's accessible at any time of the day. And so once we moved to there, that's when things really started to explode, that we were talking about a little bit yesterday.
Yeah. And you are at Western at the moment, at this point in time. You're at Western.
Probably at this point I was a 2 years in, a year and a half, 2 years in.
And that was about all you spent there.
About 2.5 years, yeah.
2.5, yeah. I was the same way. I ended up leaving school, and so you left Western.
Yep.
Did you leave with the plan? It's make or break.
To a degree.
Or did you leave?
There's a lot invested, a lot tied up in the business.
Or did you leave thinking I can come back?
I don't know. I mean,
Because a lot of people are like, oh, I'll travel.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll go do this,
I don't know.
but I'll get back to school. They never.
No, I mean,
do.
I would never lie to myself. I mean, I told myself, okay, I'm gonna go put 110% into this. I'm gonna go dive into the shallow end head first. That's a bad idea. Don't do that. But I did that.
That's what I
Do
did.
not do that. We do not condone shallow diving.
When you're talking about business, all right, public service announcement. Let me look right in the camera. When you're talking about business and you're diving head first, shallow end, I say do it because you're never going to have more energy.
I was talking about physically diving.
Yeah,
my mom was a diving coach, like a diving board diving coach, so I was just like, oh, this is a liability. We can't.
Yeah.
Don't say that. But no, I agree in the business aspect because that's how you're going to find out if it's going to work or not. I mean, if you're a real entrepreneur, if you really believe in what you're doing, you got to do it.
And if you go in with that fear and that
you can't have 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
No, because then you're going to be so reserved on everything, every choice that you make.
You can't.
So I think what you did was the right decision.
I did. And I did have the backup plan was going back to finish my degree. And
Right.
it still could be. I still got time. I'm
Down the road.
23. I've got a
There
year and
it
a
is
half.
again.
I got a year and a half left. If I want to go back, I can. But I had, professors. There was the dean of the business school at the time. I mean, I had a handful of people at the university advising me, hey, go pursue your business. If it doesn't work out, we'll still be here. But they said this has got a lot of potential. And I was telling myself that. But I needed to hear that from someone else outside of myself and my family. And my family was very supportive as well.
Right.
It was tough. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone in my family's gone to college. And so it was tough. Half of them were like, pursue the business. The other half was you should finish your degree.
Yep.
Maybe do both. But hearing folks at the university, the university, telling me, hey, go pursue this business, and if it doesn't work out, come back. That was kind of like, okay, I'm gonna do it, and so I did.
So let's take your dad and your grandfather out of the equation because you said that those were kind of already mentors in a way.
Yeah, for sure.
And then who else would you kind of throw, a lot of love to and say thanks for believing in me?
I mean, family first and foremost. I mean, that's the infrastructure. Get past them. Mentors, like I said, some of those guys at the shop, shout out Brandon and Taylor and Steven, those guys at that shop back in Atlanta, they helped me a lot. Those guys were mentors early on.
Y'all still in contact?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Still am. Yep, pretty cool. We're all doing different stuff, but still similar industries and other things. But we're still in touch. And then some of the staff here at WKU, serious mentors from WKU. Big shout out to the university and their staff as well. And
it takes
I've
lot
got a list
for them.
of names to throw out, but a lot of people at the staff, and then at WKU, and then people here in town. I met some fantastic people at the Bowling Green Chamber of Commerce. There was folks at NCM, folks at Holly. I met a lot of people early on that were behind the scenes that were giving me advice and encouraging me to do certain things, putting me in touch with other people. Like that truck that we built, you can't just register online to put your vehicle in the SEMA show. You have to be sponsored, or you have to have your own booth. And a 10x10 booth was like $10,000 or $20,000. So there's no way we were going to swing that.
Not as college kids.
No, not a chance. And
that's $1 million to a college student.
No, no, you're right. I mean, it really, there was no way. There was no way. But
could you imagine having $10,000 cash in college? Oh my God, gone.
Doesn't happen.
$10,000 in debt in college.
We're not going to get into that.
A lot of people have that. But so here's a great example of just the mentorees and then the networking, right? Because they talk about college networking. So I had a mentor at WKU that put me in touch with the president of the Chamber of Commerce here in town. He put me in touch with somebody at Holly. The gentleman at Holly put me in touch with somebody at Power Tech, which was the parent company or partner, whatever the structure is, to Edge Products out in Utah.
Okay, yeah.
And that is how we got the sponsor. So I had to go up this whole chain, to eventually get to the right person. But if I hadn't had that relationship at WKU, I wouldn't have gotten to the chamber and so on and so forth.
It's like that divine intervention you mentioned earlier. It's like these pins kept falling.
Me. Yeah, but I call it paradigm shifting.
That's interesting.
This is some weird stuff. I think, yes, there is a level of divine intervention. There is some stuff working behind the scenes, pushing you. I totally believe in that. But I've always been very calculated. This goes back to the visionary thing. I'm not saying I could see things before they happen, but a lot of times I had a plan in my head, and I knew, okay, if I talk to this guy, he could potentially put me in touch with this guy, and then this could potentially happen of it. And so I would paradigm shift, per se, change my direction a little bit and say, okay, I'm going to do this instead of doing that purposefully. And by shifting, in between these, it was changing my plan. You know, if you look at my timeline on a piece of paper and I, drew it out, what happened at what date, it almost seems as if too many things have gone in the right direction in a short amount of time, for it to happen. It just wouldn't have just happened on its own randomly, per se. It's very deliberate.
It couldn't have been a super organic thing, because there had to be the relationships that you made. It had to be the conversations that you were having.
Yeah.
But like you said, something just kept happening to make you have those conversations and make you reach out to these specific people.
I think there was a level of it was, that divine intervention portion, something pushing me from behind. I think a portion of it was my own personal decisions. Some of it could be, these big paradigm shifts, whatever you want to call it. And then things have just, the dominoes have fallen in the right direction, but not just by chance, right? It's very deliberate. But yeah, there's a ton of mentors out there. Definitely could not have done this by myself. And I think one of the biggest shout outs of all are just my guys that work for us.
That's awesome. And you have 4 guys.
Yes, there's 4 guys. We got one guy that would do some subcontracting stuff for media. But there's 4 guys that are on payroll. I finally just got on payroll. April 1st.
Woo!
Yep, after 5 years.
That wasn't an April Fool's joke.
No, it wasn't an April Fool's joke. I was fired up.
That's awesome, man.
But it was a good feeling to get my first paycheck and see my name on there and whatnot. I've been able to live very inexpensively. Like I said, I worked in construction when I was younger. I worked at a vet. I worked in a warehouse. I did a bunch of things to save up money over time. And also, while being a student, I was able to live very inexpensively. You guys all know about that.
Ramen.
Exactly. Oh, God.
Yeah.
High sodium. Bad for the body. Yeah. But, so yeah, getting on payroll is a great feeling. But shout out to the guys. I mean, none of this would be possible. I could sit in my bed and have these dreams. I could do all these things, on my own to a degree, but without the right supporting staff, without the right team behind you, it's just not going to happen. It's just not. And your people are your most important asset. And I always try my best to take care of everybody as best I can. I try to give everyone a fair chance to the absolute max. And I do as much as I can on a personal level for them, as well as a professional level to the business. And we've had some people come, we had some people go.
Right.
It's just growing pains, and we continue to evolve, and our team changes and grows. This new facility that we're opening on Lovers Lane, we plan on hiring more people. So if anyone's looking for a job in automotive customization industry, sales or service, reach out to us. But it takes an army. It really does. Even in a small business per se, it does. It really does.
Yeah. Sometimes it seems like it takes more for a small business, because those a major business has a lot of players going on. So when you're small, everybody has to kind of pick up the extra slack.
And this is said super loosely. Someone that I knew that worked for a corporation said at times it is easier to run a big business than it is to run a small business, because you can make certain, pull certain levers and handle certain things easily, because you have so many more resources, more people to delegate work out to, and things like that. So I think it's a true statement.
What kind of boss are you?
You're
not a boss.
Consider myself a boss. No.
Okay, what do you consider yourself?
A leader. I mean, That's good. I mean, literally before I came here this morning, I was sweeping the floor up front while we were having our morning meeting and whatnot. Cleaning. I clean the toilets for the shop for both employees and customers. I do that every month, or on a monthly basis.
Once
I
a
do
month.
Yeah, no.
He's kidding.
I clean the toilets for the company. I clean up the shop all the time. I move boxes around. If I need to help in sales, I go help in sales. If I need to help in the shop, I help in the shop. If I'm in my office doing paperwork, bookkeeping, things like that, I do it all. I think it's hard. It's hard to work for somebody that just sits in their office and just continues to tell you what you're doing wrong or what's not going right.
Yes.
On a daily basis.
I had a boss like that. Not tough. A boss like that. I had a boss like you.
Yeah.
I think I mentioned him to you the other day, Stuart Kirby.
Yeah.
One of my big jobs growing up was at Brewster's, and Stuart was, I think, the better word, he wasn't a boss, he was a leader.
Yep.
And he showed me how to be a good worker. He showed me how to also be a leader.
Yep.
And I think if that's how you are, a lot of people, you think of boss and you're like, I don't like that word.
You have to be it sometimes. I mean, there are times where you have to sit someone down and you're not getting what you need from them, or they're not following certain policies the right way, or working the way that you need them to do things, and you have to be be a boss. But when you're not sitting in those conversations, having those conversations, then you need to be a leader. Lead from the front, not from behind.
Absolutely.
So that's how I've always been. That's how I intend on being, for the rest of my life. And I think it works.
I think so.
I really think it works.
So all right, you're at Chester Court.
Yep.
Right now.
Right location. Yep.
And you are now moving to Lovers Lane.
Yep.
Got this beautiful facility. Tell us kind of when you plan that to be ready.
Yep.
And what are some of the first few things that you're eager to get done in there?
Yeah. So as of right now, we're completing construction. We're expecting to move and open up that facility the beginning of June. So we're not too far away.
Not at all. And you said you had a slight delay.
We did, because that whole ice storm that came through here.
That's wild.
And this thing called COVID-19 that's impacting a few different things across
But,
the country. But
I mean, put that in
delays.
perspective. Like, you're a month delayed with all of that having gone on.
Yep.
That's still pretty good.
I'm excited.
All things considered, there's a lot of things that could have gone much
happy
worse.
With it. That's very true. But yeah, so once we get into that new facility, like I said, we'll have a grand opening. We'll have a lot of our customers' vehicles there that we've built, and we'll want to show off. We'll probably have some live music or music playing in general. We'll probably have some food, like a food truck or something.
That sounds good.
We'll be selling things. We'll have a lot of cool stuff going on. So if you're in town, if you're in Southern Kentucky, come check that out. It'll be on a Saturday. It'll probably be from like 11 to 3 o'clock or something like that.
Pull this up for me, Swanson. I think this is going to be
that
what
will be like the finished product to a degree. Yeah, that'll be very similar.
This is a rendering
we changed
photo.
The logo. We changed, so we ended up putting the helmet and changing that little box in the front of the building. We put the helmet there, and then we're actually putting like the Spartan Garage on the side of the building. It'll be like 22 feet long, it'll be big.
Good Lord.
Because the acronym TSG, the Spartan Garage,
however you want to say it.
Most people put 2 and 2 together, but a lot of people don't.
Yeah.
And they'll just drive past looking for Spartan. They see this TSG thing and don't pay attention to it. So we were like, we need to put the name on the building.
How'd you get a Spartan?
So when I was in high school, the business actually wasn't incorporated under Spartan 4x4, which has now become the Spartan Garage. It was called like Off-Road Overkill or something like that. Okay. And I was learning about the 300 Spartans in high school in history class, and I just loved everything about what they were known for. I know that there's a lot of stuff that they were involved with that was crazy, but as far as they were the best of the best, and they were different, and they had levels to their ranks, and just the whole thing was fantastic. And so I was like, that merges really well with the automotive world, especially because we were specializing in trucks and Jeeps, which is rugged and tough, and Spartan, it all made sense. And so that's how we got the name for it, and it just flows really well, and people have loved it. And so there is no correlation with like this. Is it South Warren Spartans or something?
Yeah, so South Warren Spartans, and then
a lot of people
Michigan
in town
State
think
Spartans.
that. Like they're like, oh, are you? Do you go to South Warren? I'm like, no, I'm from Atlanta. So there was no correlation, but it's funny how it worked out that way. I think it helps us and hurts us in some way. I think some people, go to a different high school and they're like, yeah, they have Spartan on their school. I'm not, on their business.
It's also kind of it's a cool thing to brand.
It is,
because everybody recognizes that helmet.
Everyone knows. Yep. And so this is actually kind of cool. So if you flip to the actual photo where it's got the plywood up and what the building looks like as of today, April 30th, 2021, that's what the building looks like. And it's coming along pretty close to what that rendering was. Now flip back. There's a whiteboard drawing that we drew in the Accelerator here that we're in right now. It was actually when we were in the student Accelerator. So before we had this, I think this was like late 2017. I drew this on a whiteboard, and I told myself, and I told Andrew working for us, I said, 5 years from now, we're going to build a facility on a main road here in town, and it's going to look like this. What's crazy is after I designed the current facility on paper, the new one coming up, we didn't find this photo until we were well under construction.
Really?
And if you look at the similarities, you can flip back to the other one. The most similar portion of it's that front, kind of that triangular front, and then there's flat portions of the building going to the sides. If you flip back to the other one, you can kind of see how similar it is.
And you did not remember doing this?
That. It's subconscious. It was just a subconscious thing. Like I've talked to a few people, and they were like, it just had to have been in the back of your head. Just the whole
had to be.
Just the whole design of it.
And you drew that? Go back.
I drew that one. Yeah, it was a little bootleg, but it was enough to put something in my head. And then we went from that one to this one that you're gonna pull up right here. It's just
trying to find it.
It's crazy, and people love that. And they think it's so cool. I think it's really cool.
That's nuts.
It's freaking crazy. I don't know, paradigm shifting. I mean, it's just
right.
It's just you really make decisions on purpose and place yourself at certain places in the right time. I mean, you have control. People have a lot more control over their destiny and what they do than they think.
I think so.
I really think that life and business in general is just a game, and there's some people that play it and there's some people that get played. And if you want to play it, you just have to be very deliberate about what you're doing, and you have to surround yourself with good people. You have to work hard, and just try to make the right decisions. You're going to make wrong decisions. I mean, I know we're talking about, success and this and that, but I've made a lot of, wrong decisions. I've lost a lot of money, I've lost some good people. I mean, there's a lot has happened that hasn't gone to plan, but enough has happened that has gone to plan to get us to this point. And I don't like to consider myself successful yet. I'd rather say, we've been very successful at the things that we've set out to do. But if I were to look at it all on paper and, look at myself in the mirror and say, you're successful, I wouldn't say that I'm there yet. And that's just my personality, though. I'm always chasing. I don't stop.
Always wanting for a little bit more.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like there's all these doors that are open in front of you.
Yep.
Of all different routes that you can take throughout your life, but you still have to make the conscious decision of which door you're going to walk
Yes,
through.
100%.
And I think that's the level of autonomy and decision making and control to an extent that you have over your situation. Is
I remember we
which door.
talked about that one time. That was cool. I like that analogy a lot. It's super true.
There's a quote by Kobe Bryant, R.I.P. God, I love Kobe Bryant. But his quote, it says, "I'm not perfect. I'm chasing perfection."
Yeah.
And you'll never achieve perfection, but man, the effort is that's the thing, is the effort. Try and get there, man.
Start.
And it sounds to me like you're trying. It seems to me like you're going above and beyond.
We're trying.
Are you? All right, so we're going to wrap it up a little bit. We're going to do some rapid fire things a little bit. Are you a regimented person?
Very much so.
Very scheduled?
Very.
What's your, do you have a morning routine?
Yeah, I get up every morning, like 5:15, 5:30. I don't drink coffee. I've never drank coffee. I think coffee's awesome, and almost everybody I know drinks it, but I can't drink it for some reason. It just gets me just too amped
wired
up. Yeah, it's just too much.
And wait till you're 30.
It sets me over. I don't know.
Get some kids, bro.
It'll probably happen. I remember you telling me that one time. Yeah. It'll probably happen at some point, but I'm trying to go as long as I can go. But
I did too.
Don't drink coffee. Drink cold glass of ice water every morning.
They say that's better for your metabolism and everything anyway. I probably need to go back to doing that.
So, not sure if you've ever heard of the Wim Hof method, but breathing. So look it up. Wim Hof, he does a breathing exercise every morning. And that's supposed to be a good replacement for coffee because it oxygenates your blood.
I can see it.
But it's pretty
intense.
People have different reactions to it. You just need to go look it up sometime. It's fascinating.
Cool.
Check that out. But yeah, very regimented.
Okay.
I think the only time where my day isn't regimented would be maybe when I'm at work. I don't have
anything
enough of a business. I have enough of a. It's the same day to day to where I can come in and just have the same structure. I mean, I tried to do. If I'm taking cash to the bank or if I need to, running around town to do a few things, I try to keep that consistent to a degree. But the rest of the stuff, it's just kind of what do I have on my to-do list to do today, and then I prioritize everything. But very regimented. And the same with once I leave work, whether it's if I'm working out or listening to a podcast, listening to music, what I making dinner, going to bed, all that stuff is. I think it's really good. It's worked for me.
Yeah.
Instead of just kind of being all over the place, and it works against you in a lot of ways, in my opinion, if you don't have much of a schedule or some sort of routine to just get in the habit of following.
Okay, so that was gonna be another one. So when you're working, when you're in the zone, doing your thing, what's your music? Who's your go-to? What do you like listening to?
Oh man, people make fun of me for it, but I like lo-fi beats a lot.
Oh, where's Booba?
Without the lyrics. I like lo-fi beats a lot.
He hasn't departed.
You missed the good part. I like listening to podcasts a lot, just kind of background noise. So I have something called auditory processing, and so it makes it's like dyslexia for hearing.
Really?
Yeah. So for the majority of my life, listening to music, I actually couldn't keep up with the words that were being said. So if I would listen to a song and you would just pause it randomly and say, tell me the last 10 lyrics, I couldn't tell you. I just couldn't. So listening to music, I was always just listening to the sound of it, which is why lo-fi beats stuck with me a lot. Yeah. I mean, I listen to everything. I listen to almost everything.
But that's probably because you're listening to the music.
Listen to the sound. I mean, obviously my parents played a lot of 80s. I love 80s music. I love it's all over the place, to be honest. But I like lo-fi beats a lot. The podcasts, it forces me to listen to what is being said, and typically things are being said slower than a song. But if I'm listening to different types of music, I'm listening more or less for the sound. Whereas my brother, who's really big into music, when he's listening too, he's like, oh, I just love the story behind the song, the purpose. And I'm just like, dude, I'm not even following the story.
Yeah,
because I can't even.
There's a story.
Can't even keep up with it.
Yeah,
and I also have dyslexia too and ADHD, so I've had a lot of things to kind of work through, which has not been the easiest, but it's.
Do you think that some of those things make you try harder, make you go that extra mile to stay focused on what it is you're doing?
I did a speech. I was actually watching it last night just because it came across and something. I'm not sure what I was on, but it was in my Google Drive. I was looking at photos to send to you, and I came across it. It was a speech I did at WKU. I think it was like 2018, and I said, turn learning disabilities into life abilities, or something like that.
That's neat.
And the thought process behind it was dyslexia. You flip words around, you flip letters around, numbers around, things like that. So it forced me to have to proofread things, to read things 2-3 times to make sure it was right. Whereas a lot of my classmates or people I work with can just glance at it once. And the likelihood of them making a mistake was sometimes higher than me because I had to look at it 2-3 times to really make sure it was right. So that was one part of it. It forced me to kind of slow down and really go through it. The other part of the turning the disability, the learning disabilities into life abilities was the ADHD. I've always looked at ADHD as something that helped me. Or something that hurt me because it allowed me to focus on multiple things at the same time, keep up with a lot more things at a faster pace. So I was almost able to dial in more things at one time versus some of my friends will just be like, dude, I got to focus on this one thing, and once I get this done, then I can go to the next. And I can be doing multiple things at the same time and continue to have the same level of quality of work.
As you get older, that word multitasking becomes huge in everyday life.
Absolutely.
And especially when you start having kids and working a job and doing all these fun things, you're multitasking 24 hours of the day.
Yeah.
Even when you're asleep, something goes boom in the night, all of a sudden you're like, uh-oh.
For sure. Yeah.
So, I think it helps with multitasking for sure. What is, I don't know if you can actually answer this, what's your favorite product you've gotten to work on? Was it the first Jeep? Was it the truck in Vegas? Like what?
Yeah.
What is it when you look back on your career and you're like, that was pretty damn cool?
Yeah. I mean, the 3 vehicles that I've owned or the company's owned that we built would be there's a red Jeep that I did when I was in high school. That turned out pretty cool.
Did you sell it?
I did. Yep.
Do you know who bought it? Like, were y'all friends?
No, we ended up selling it to another car dealer.
Oh, okay.
Doing something else. And then I traded it for a truck, and I ended up building that, but it wasn't anything special.
Right.
The truck that we built, the gray Dodge that was around town, that one was really unique. And then the one that I'm driving right now, which is a supercharged V8 Grand Cherokee, and the thing's pretty sweet.
It is very nice. In fact, if you go to 4Runner, their website, they did a commercial for you guys for TSG. And the Grand Cherokee is featured in it.
Yep, the Grand Cherokee. They did a really fantastic job.
I watched
Shout out 4Runner.
We watched it, and it was fantastic. It
was fun to make.
Swanson and Booba,
bro.
when I keep harping on the quality of work that these guys do, it's true. And you can see it completely in that commercial. They do a lot of great commercials, don't get me wrong, but that one stood out.
Absolutely.
It was insane.
Yeah, they did some cool stuff.
I can't tell you how much heart I put into that project.
You put in a lot of heart.
Letting you know. Just pointing that out.
You put heart in everything you do, though.
Thank you. Yeah, I thought it came out great. It was a
lot
lot
of
of fun.
cool. Shout out NCM for letting us use the track too.
Seriously.
Oh,
That
that's
was
true.
Cool, too. That really helped make it all.
We need to tag them in this because they'll probably recognize
a few
you.
different things, yeah. But of those 3 vehicles, I mean, we've worked on a lot cooler vehicles at the shop in the
But
last
they're not
few
as
years.
sentimental.
They don't have the same sentimental level to them. I mean, it's tough. The red Jeep helped me get everything off the ground. Got the start. The truck helped our credibility and got us to a whole nother level that really took things off. And the Grand Cherokee is just fun. It's just fun to drive.
I have a Grand Cherokee too, but it's not to that level.
Yeah.
But they're
all on the same level.
Back in the day, though, Grand Cherokees they kind of rivaled the Pathfinder. You remember?
Yeah.
Now they're such pretty luxury vehicles,
Yep.
and they're great. But man, you deck them out like that, and
You can have the comfort and also have the capability at the same time nowadays.
for sure.
In a lot of different things. Yeah.
What is your 3 to 5 year plan now that you're moving? Now that you're creating your own new space that is exclusive for TSG. Yeah. You said that this facility that you're building is going to be completely engineered and created for you. Yep. So you got 3 to 5 years. What do you see happening?
This one's so tough to answer because 5 years ago I was sitting in my parents' garage.
God, that's weird to even
3
think
years
about.
ago,
You're
I was
here.
here in this office. 5 years ago, if you told me this is where we would be, today I wouldn't believe it. 3 years ago, if you told me where this would be, I wouldn't believe it. So it's so hard.
What would you
try to
like
predict,
it to be? Don't guess where it'll be. Where would
that's
you
fair
like
enough.
it to
That's
be?
fair enough. I mean, that's another hard part is the planning of it. I mean, number one, obviously, is getting this new facility opened up.
Yep.
My next highest priority is, depending on the business we do, the revenue we generate, the profitability of everything, raise wages for our employees, start to offer benefits, just start to take care of the guys that have really helped build this thing. That's my number two, besides opening up the new facility. After that point, I think it's just going to be really figuring out how to make ourselves even more different than we already are compared to our competitors. Figure out more ways to bring in more business and become more profitable. And then, I don't know, there's only two ways this business can go. It's either a single location or it's multiple locations.
Yeah.
And so,
do you see yourself staying in Bowling Green?
For the time being, yeah.
You personally, if you were to open up another location, would you be willing to travel, or are you like, man, this is my baby right here?
I would have to go with that second. If we were to do a second one, I would have to go to ensure that it gets off the ground, right? I love Bowling Green. I've been here this fall will be 4 years, and it's been an incredible home, and it's really where I've gotten my start professionally. And I love the people here. I love everything about it. It's growing so much. I'm excited to be a part of that growth.
4 years ago, though, just to put it in perspective, the location that he's building at on Lover's Lane was a little empty lot. It was a field. And then go further up Lover's Lane, and it was a farm. That is now is the hub.
Massive development. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. We got our goals, and I don't have necessarily a set in stone plan yet. And the reason I don't is just because how much has happened in the last 3 to 5 years. It's just so hard to predict it. My plan is just to ensure this new facility works, our guys are taken care of, and then whatever comes next we'll go after. So
I don't blame you on that.
That's the plan.
Are you happy you did this?
Extremely.
Extremely. I think it's been fun. I've learned a lot. I mean, I have vehicles, and I mean, we've always had vehicles or whatever, but I've never been to the level of like obsession that you are with them.
You have to be, though. You have to obsess over it.
And whatever it is that you're doing, it's so much easier to go further in it if you're obsessed with it. If you fall in love with it, like I think Swanson and Boo Boo would tell you, they're obsessed with filmmaking. They're obsessed with their product that they put out, and that's why they do it so well. So obviously you're doing it well.
We're trying. We're trying our best. But
you've got 4 guys working with you, all in their 20s, guys.
Not on purpose. It's just happened that way.
Yeah. But I guess do you think it's trending downward? We got these young cats coming out of high school and stuff that are like, man, I don't necessarily know that I want to go to college, but I want to get my hands dirty and work on something.
It's the whole spectrum. I mean, I'm really excited to see who applies, once we open up this new facility. Obviously, we go into this open-minded. We're an equal opportunity employer. I mean, so I'm open to whoever. As long as you fit the credentials that we need in order to become a part of our team, we'll give you a shot. So we'll see. But I think it's just a lot of like-minded, similar interest individuals, and we've all fit together like a family really well, and that's
awesome,
kind of how it's been created to this point. So,
and grand opening or the ribbon cutting is.
We don't know yet. We don't have a date. It'll probably end up. We're probably the beginning of June.
Okay.
Beginning of June. We
in
don't
a
have
perfect
a hard
world.
date. Yeah, we don't have a hard date.
And we'll be there.
It'll be on like a Saturday.
Right, Swanson. We better.
I want to.
That
but
took way too long.
Family might be in Disney, bro. First week of June.
Ooh.
So don't you do it around me. You do you.
No, don't worry, I won't. Okay. I'm just kidding.
I'm leaving the set.
I'll give you a private tour one day.
Okay, cool.
It's awesome. Have y'all?
Boo Boo will be there though. He won't leave me hanging.
Yeah, he won't.
Have you been over there yet, Swanson? Have you seen the new shop?
Yeah, I've been over there a couple times.
God, it's neat.
I haven't been inside.
It's huge.
Though, because
big metal box.
But I drive by.
That's what you said. It's a big
day.
box.
It's just a big metal box.
Yeah. That's neat, man.
Crazy.
Well, tell the people where they can find you. Give all your social plugs and stuff like that for me.
Absolutely. So the Spartan Garage, www.thespartangarage.com. You can find us on Instagram, _Spartan Garage. You can follow me personally on Instagram. It's Robert Bowden _official.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
Clone accounts.
Yeah, there's too many guys trying to copy.
You got that blue check mark yet?
I'm working on it.
Blue check mark.
I already got denied once. I'm trying.
You gotta
but,
sell your soul for that. Is that how that works?
I guess so. Something
Somebody's
like that.
getting
This will help,
something.
I think. But
Okay, yeah, thank you.
we'll see.
We'll
But yeah,
take that
that's
credit.
that's what we've got. We got a new website that we'll drop right after we open the new facility. Like I said, we'll have that grand opening. It'll be on a Saturday at the beginning of June. Come out, check that out, and meet myself, meet anybody else. Just super happy to be here. It's crazy. The last thing I kind of wanted to talk about or say was the day before Andrew actually reached out to me regarding the podcast. I was working out and I was thinking to myself, dang, it would be really cool to be on a podcast.
That's awesome.
And I was
That's
like,
so cool.
I don't know, it was just weird. It was just a thought that I had. And then I got a text like that next morning or something like that. And
it was last Friday.
Yeah, it was either that morning or that afternoon. It was one of the two. It was right after I had that thought. And I was just
Yeah.
like, dang, and this comes back in that whole
Divine
divine intervention
intervention.
or synchronicities, just something. But everything happens for a reason, man. You just gotta roll with it, right?
We're gonna leave you with a present. We got you
Oh,
because he's a car guy. You
yeah.
can't even see it because it's
This
white.
guy.
It is your
It's
sticker.
the Forerunner helmet.
The Forerunner helmet. You can't see
I
it because it's
appreciate
white.
it.
I mean, I look silly even holding it up.
We
But
gonna
that's-
step up the T-shirts eventually. But
Thank you
already
so
got
much.
one,
And I
so-
brought you guys a gift too.
I know that's going to be
It's,
a new set
TSG
piece
hat.
slash my new hat.
Hey,
So,
it's,
I
it's
can't
a
wait.
Richardson. It's nice.
Oh,
People
we're
like 'em.
gonna put
People
it
like 'em.
right.
Yeah, see, I think are
Boom.
we talking about putting them like hanging them from the front of
Yeah.
the
Be cool
Or
to do.
behind. So they're, all
That'd be
these
cool.
hats are going to
That'd be
become
sweet.
set
Well, I
pieces.
appreciate it.
And you got what? Tell the folks at home what you got to do today when you got here.
We got to sign underneath the table.
Yeah.
It's a very awkward angle. It was hard to
You're welcome.
get flexible enough to bend, so my signature doesn't look as good as it typically does.
We'll
But-
probably throw out your back again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No
it
kidding.
is hurting. These bar stools are they're comfortable. They're comfortable. Sorry for
gosh.
slouching, by the way, guys. The back surgery really did a
Unacceptable.
number on me.
Unacceptable.
So we got a
Excuses.
few more weeks. New Spartan Garage is going to be up and running. You guys can connect with him on Facebook, Instagram,
Yep.
whether it's through the Spartan Garage, or through Robert's personal stuff.
That'd be awesome.
Definitely give him a shout. Let him know if there's anything that he can do for you because he obviously does great work. Any last things you want to say?
No, just thanks for having me on.
Don't mention it. I think
really
we
enjoyed this. I
would-
hope I can come back one day.
I was going to
This
say
would
we
be
would thoroughly
sweet.
enjoy that.
And not even talk about TSG stuff related. Just talk
Yeah.
about other stuff. I think there's a lot of cool things that we all have in common, and
Absolutely.
it'd be cool just to talk about. But
How's it back being in this room?
it's cool.
Does it bring back memories?
It really does. Yeah, a lot of cool stuff happened in here.
Humble
It's
beginnings here.
super humble beginnings. I mean, the only other thing I wanted to say is just life's short. Just no holding back, all gas, no brakes. I mean, just
That's neat.
life's short. You do it while you can, while you're alive.
Where'd you get all gas, no brakes?
I think there's a YouTube channel. That's
I don't care.
named
We're
after
probably
that.
going to quote it on the caption
It's
because that's
sweet.
awesome.
I say it to my guys all the time, like when we hit our sales goal for the month, and they say, "Okay, what's our goal for the rest of the month?" I'll just say all gas, no brakes, guys. Just
Yeah.
whatever we can do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, just go after it. A lot of people are afraid of failing, and that's just a part of it. Once you kind of get over that hurdle and just go for it,
Yep.
that's how you really get stuff going. So life's short, just go after it.
Yeah, all gas, no brakes. You heard it here. Guys, if y'all have any other questions, connect with him. I promise you will absolutely enjoy it. We'd love to have you back.
Yeah, I'll be back for sure.
Awesome. We'll take it easy, guys. Thanks so much, and we will see you soon.
Appreciate it.